I'm Tracy Pattin. Yeah, it's me on camera. This is our first video cast, and I have a fantastic guest, a top VO actor, Tasia Valenza. Hi, Tasia.
Hey, Tracy.
Okay, you guys, you see where we are? We're in Tasia's closet, a.k.a.
voiceover booth.
Recording studio.
That's right. My office, which is probably very uncommon to most people outside the voiceover community.
Right,
Not as unusual.
And totally common to all the VO actors.
Yeah.
So, voila, we got clothes and everything around us. Okay, so let's just jump right in and talk about your background. You've done so much. Tasia has been doing voiceovers for years, has done video games, movies, commercials,
promos.
You've done it all, right?
I always say I've done everything but Kabuki.
Okay.
Give me a chance.
And you'll do it.
And I'll do it.
So tell us, how did you get into voiceover? Everybody wants to know.
I'd have to say I call myself a recovering actress. So I did that for many years, and my lovely mother, may she rest in peace, was always saying, you should do voiceover, the Jewish mother. And I kept saying, Mom, it's too competitive, and I haven't gotten in yet. So I was actually not really high on it because I was doing a lot of work on camera. But I was, always wanting more. And she just kept at me until I started my first class. And I actually had no mentor, no direction, no anything. And it took me 2 years to get a decent tape together. I had like 40-year-old copy from this lovely older gentleman in the valley. And so, but I found my way in, got to an agency, and 16 years later.
I was going to say, how long ago was
this
that?
This was about 16 years ago. 16, maybe, yeah. And I stopped acting about 10 years ago and decided to do voiceover exclusively, and have never looked back. As my one of my sayings is, you can't pay me to act, because this is such a great gig, especially now that I'm a mom and I have 3 kids. I say it's Christmas in July every time I book a job.
I love it. And which brings to mind, now over the years, I've just actually met Tasia a few weeks ago, but I've known of you over the years. Yeah. And one of the things I knew about you was someone said that every time Tasia goes in for an audition, she says, I own this job. This is it. This is mine. Is that true?
I am a manifester. I do believe in that, and I have expounded that just today. I mean, I have numbers that I see, like a little number that I look at, and every time I see it, I do a mantra that I am the #1 female voiceover artist in the United States, and I am making whatever amount of money that day, and I work 3 times every day. So, yes, on the way over here, I was mantraing for about 5 minutes, and I really do feel that, as in all goals, that you really have to have a passion for it, see it, and like The Secret, I love The Secret, act as if it's already occurred.
That's well, there you go. I mean, because we're all always obviously trying to figure out how to compete, and it's I'm sure you've seen how much more competitive it's gotten.
Oh, it's more challenging than ever, and there's days where I feel like that the feeling of I'll never work again syndrome. It certainly comes out still, even 16 years later, and then I go back to that feeling, or I write it down. I'm a big believer in writing down my goals, so I have written down many jobs that I have wanted, and look back later and say, my gosh, I got that. I got that job, like 1 out of 300. That's crazy,
So when you first started doing that, did you have a sense? I mean, you said, I'm going to get the job, and the mantra. Did you have a sense that it was going to be yours? And then when you got the call, were you I was surprised?
Well, elated always, But right. I mean, it's still like that question of like, did that really happen? Did I really do? Was that me, or was that just like luck, dumb luck? But yes, I have seen it consistently, and again, of course, there are times that I don't get it, or I lose the job later. But I mean, I've definitely felt that there's energy and power, and when I've had a great audition, even anyone has that great audition, and you feel like I'm going to get this. Yeah. Well, I don't just say I'm going to get it. I go write it down at 20 times that I am already the voice of.
I can see they're all doing that right now.
I am. I do believe you have to write it down. Okay. A wish becomes a command when you write it, and it goes to paper, and you have to write it. I mean, these are Brian Tracy, the Forerunners. In the present positive tense. It can't be I'm going to be. It is I am the voice of.
Okay, there you go. And, so they can copy you then.
Yes, but don't take away my jobs. As long as it's not the ones that I have already spoken for, you're good.
That's good
to
know. In addition to that, because that obviously is a great technique, because when I listen to your demos and I listen to commercials you've done and work you've done, she has this smile. I'm sure you can hear it. You've got that thing that draws you in. So do you think about that, or you just do it?
Well, I do like to feel like, I really do feel like I'm blessed to be doing this. And I'm also a very genuinely happy person for the most part. Of course, I have my days. And I'd like to convey that when I'm working, because I feel lucky to be in the room doing the job. Yeah. And I feel like, that's the part of the acting that comes to me. I really try to create the character and what am I coming from? And usually you're coming from a place that you want to feel trusted. So I think trust is a really important point.
That's good.
And people like to be around people that emanate warmth. So since I feel like I do in life, I just bring that into the work, and luckily people can hear it and it comes across. And
that it really seems like that's such a key especially for commercial work, to having that sound that really, it's that such a warmth that you have.
Well, I like to call it the non-announcer announce, but also usually it's like friend to friend. I'm thinking friend to friend.
So you're doing the one-to-one thing, because we all have heard this talk like you're talking to one person. And so do you do that?
Yes, I do usually pick a person, or I pick an idea of who I'm speaking to, and again, depending on if it's more corporate or more authoritative. But I try to come from an acting point of view and not just read the copy. I try to make it a point of view.
And it is interesting that so often I have heard from so many teachers that it is acting. Voiceover is acting, and that's why improv. How do you feel about improv?
I love improv.
Okay.
I wish I could take more classes, but I have definitely gone to the sides on that. But I recommend it highly, because the spontaneity, especially for partner reads. Today I did a funny thing. I did a partner read without a partner there in the job, which is that's like 1%.
Reading it wild.
Yeah,
right?
Reading it wild, but that's highly unusual. But I will find that most partner reads I've booked there's been a little extra something or other that you bring to the table. You bring to it where they say, well, we really liked what you did with that line. So that definitely comes from improv classes more than, the announcer read, which is not as needed for that particular area. Improv is great for that too, but it really helps with the group situations, the partner situations. So that's great too.
So I'm keeping an eye on the time here, because we're running out of time. But I've got so many questions, and we'll do some more. We'll do more of these with you.
Thank you.
And you work pretty much every day, right? Or several days a week?
Yes.
So she is truly a working voice actor.
I feel like I said,
what you have.
You can have it. I always feel like there's enough to go around. But, I also, another mantra of mine is, I do one thing great. I stopped acting. I don't do anything but this. So I made this my profession.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was at a seminar the other day. We were talking about this whole notion that now the trend is, because of the competition and where everything is at with the whole, with high tech and the ability for everyone to audition, is that you want to do one thing within voiceover well. So do you do that within your voiceover career, or do you do a lot of different things?
I do everything but Kabuki. So
okay,
no.
so you did say that. Okay, so you
I believe that if you want to establish yourself with a signature, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
If you're not, but I've been blessed enough to know, that I can do many things, and I've had the opportunity to show that over and over again, and my agents, who are the most amazing DPN rock.
Little plug.
They give me opportunities in all fields, and I am blessed enough to book them. So it's a great. But again, I feel that my acting definitely lent itself to that, and then the technique, which is very important. And I've studied with great teachers, and I do feel that honing your skills is still very important. And I definitely try not to rest on my laurels.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a great place to end, and we'll have you back for some more detailed advice and tips. And we're going to go into part 2 in a moment. We're going to come right back and talk about the other chapter of your life, your whole giving back. And Tasia's involved in an amazing organization called SOS Villages.
SOS Children's Villages.
Children's Villages. So we're going to talk about that in part 2. So thank you, Tasia.